Hello and welcome to week 8. This week we're going to look at barriers to communication. Last week we looked at how to communicate really well with children. This week we're going to look at what problems could there be, what different special needs could children have that are going to put up barriers and make communication difficult. So let's have a look at the two questions. They're both from Unit 3 and the first one says 3.1.2, identify barriers to communication and suggest ways these can be overcome. So what problems could the children have and how, as a TA, could you help to overcome the problems? And then we've got 3.2.3, identify barriers to building and maintaining professional relationships with children and ways these can be overcome. Really, I think these are the two questions asking you the same thing. How do you communicate well and how do you maintain good relationships with the children? So we're just going to put these two questions together, talk about problems that children might have and how to help them and support them. So first thing that you should do is have a look at the worksheet. And I am suggesting for this homework that you might like to make either a poster or you could make a PowerPoint. Or I guess if you really want to, you could just write this as an essay. The poster or the PowerPoint's going to have 3 sections. You could write an essay with 3 sections to it. So let's have a look. If you click here, you'll be able to have a look at an outline I've given you to help you make your poster or your PowerPoint. Let's have a look. So here is the worksheet. You could actually type into this, although it's really more of an outline than a worksheet. So let's have a look. There's the 2 questions. Barriers to communication and how to overcome them. Barriers to relationships and how to overcome them. And I'm suggesting you make a poster with 3 boxes or a PowerPoint with 3 slides or an essay with 3 sections. So the first section should be a list of different communication barriers. And for each, you need to say what problems the child might face in school. So look, I've given you 10 different things that you should mention. And just as I've done for the first one, write a little bit more to say what it is. So I've put here selective mutism. The child might feel too anxious to speak in school. So you're just going to add a little bit to each one. English is an additional language. What problems could children have? And if you're not sure about any of these, if we go back to Moodle, I've put a link here, your activity number 3. Have a look at all these different types of special educational need. There are hundreds of these. You just need to find those 10 and see, it'll tell you what problems the children might have in school. Going back to the worksheet, the next section then is to say, how can a TA overcome the barriers? So you need to put in here some strategies that a TA could use to support any child that's got communication barriers. Lots of the strategies will be the same if they are selective mute, if they have English as additional language, if they've got a hearing impairment, or any of these other problems. The way in which we work with children to support them is very similar. And where are you going to find this information? Well, of course, I've found it for you already. There's a booklet called Misunderstood that comes from the Communication Trust website. It's quite long, but it's got lots of pictures. Good one to read. Or if you haven't got time, go straight to my set of strategies here. It comes from this book, but I've set out 1 page of strategies that TAs can use to adapt their communication. And it also has a section for EAL and a section for selective mutism. Going back to the worksheet, the 3rd section I think would be an excellent idea for you to do is this one, and that is to put in a case study, because it's really hard. As we found out before, you can't say all children with special needs are the same. So you need to think for the 3rd section of a particular child. Could be someone that you know that you've worked with in school. If you want to use your own child, if you'd like to do that, you can. Or you can use a child from one of these videos on Moodle. So I've given you 4 children that you could choose from. The first one is about hearing impairment. You could watch this video and do a case study on one of these children. Or this little boy has a speech and language problem. He doesn't process language in the same way that other children do. He has difficulty finding his words. You could do Michael. Or there are actually 2 children here who have selective mutism in this program. There's a little girl called Madeline. You could look at her. For some reason there's 2 videos here. They're the same. Or this little boy, you could do him. Or finally, there's a program here about English as additional language. It's full of really good strategies. Doesn't focus on one child, but you could pick one of the children and put together all the different strategies in the video to talk about them. If you want to, there's some more things down here. They don't need to go on the poster, but they're to stretch and challenge you. There's a whole deaf awareness section here if you're interested in learning sign language. Okay, so all you need to do is to fill in the 3 sections, 3 sections here. Sorry, I didn't mean fill in. What I want you to do is make a poster or a PowerPoint with 3 sections, different communication barriers, strategies a TA could use, and a case study on one particular child. And look, if we go down to the bottom here, nearly forgot, I've done a little what makes a good answer. So everybody should do 3 sections on your poster or 3 slides on a PowerPoint or 3 paragraphs in an essay. I would really like you to stretch your IT skills this week, so you could add a picture and use your IT skills to do a super duper PowerPoint presentation. You could put in a quote. There's some good articles that I've shown you on Moodle. If you're going to use a case study, please don't forget to copy and paste the link to the video. And finally, please check your SPAG, spelling, punctuation and grammar. So that's your task for this week. Do your best, send me your worksheet, and if it needs any improvements, I'll get back to you and tell you what to do. Well, I'm sure you will do really good work.